Good afternoon. It's Jim again. Welcome to the latest episode of Jim's Kitchen. We're going to be shooting episode 3 of Jim's Kitchen today. So, Jim's Kitchen, episode 3, Casserole. It's going to be based on something you may have heard of before called shepherd's pie. The recipe is going to be linked in the description. And this procedure, which we're going to try and shoot in one take, assumes you have access to Jim's Kitchen How-Tos number 1, 2, and 3. I'll tell you when I get to those and what they are, but this is going to be an attempt to show you one time straight through the entire process so that you're not asking, well, can I really do that? Because you're going to see me make the mistakes and everything. And we're going to start out by opening a no sugar, orange flavored drink, because I know me, between that and this bottle of water, I'm going to want refreshment as I go through. So forgive me for that. I'm not going to try and present you a finished Julia Child looking video. I'm not going to put on airs and pretend to be something I'm not, because I want you to know without a doubt, after watching this, that if that guy can do it, you can too. Without further ado, let's begin. What you need. You need a cookie sheet. You need an 8x13 Pyrex, well, it doesn't have to be Pyrex, but an 8x13 casserole dish. Some of you astute students have noticed there's already something in it. Jim's Kitchen How-To number 3 was how to prep potatoes. What you're looking at is the 2 pounds of potatoes I made ahead of time for that video. You need a microwave safe bowl. You need a fry pan and a nylon spatula. Doesn't have to be slotted. Nylon, plastic, wood, you know my usual recommendation. But whatever it is, you want it not to damage your non-stick cookware, because part of what I'm trying to teach you is how not to destroy your kitchen equipment. I recommend you also have you're going to need a cutting board and a kitchen knife. I recommend you also have a saucer to prevent messes, and I always find reasons I want a couple of standard kitchen forks, so I'm just going to have them out now. Let's see here. And we're going to get right into what goes in it. What goes in it? 3 pounds of potatoes. 2 pounds over there and a pound here. If you buy from the produce aisle, a good sized potato is about a half a pound. So rough estimate, whether you buy the russets or whatever, a good sized potato is about a half a pound, 6 of those. About 3 pounds of vegetables, canned or frozen. I recommend frozen. If you go with canned, you need to drain them. I recommend mixed vegetables. It's easier. I recommend microwave in the bag vegetables. Again, it's easier. Frozen vegetables have an advantage over canned vegetables. There's nothing added. They harvest these bad boys, they get them ready to put in the bag, they don't add anything to them, they bag them and they freeze them. That means a minimum of prep work for you. You don't have to drain them. It's very straightforward. You're going to need, so you've got 3 pounds of potatoes, 3 and I overstated that. I apologize. These are 8-ounce bags, so 1.5 pounds of mixed vegetables, whether they're canned or otherwise. 1 pound of whatever meat you're going to use. You can use turkey, sausage, pork, ground beef, sirloin tips, diced ham. I don't recommend strips of ham or beef because that's not real easy to deal with when you're trying to eat a casserole, or if you're from Minnesota, hot dish. That's something you tend to want to eat with just your fork or spoon. You don't want to have a table knife with you to eat it. So I'm not going to recommend you use strips of beef or anything else. I have gone to the grocery store and bought the Wednesday roast chicken special. It's real easy, saves you having to cook the meat. Just pluck it off the bones and dice it. It's a great time saver. So chicken, turkey, I've used leftover Thanksgiving turkey. The possibilities are endless. You also, what goes in it, need 32-ish ounces of cream of mushroom soup. 2 15 to 16 ounce cans or 1 28 to 32 ounce can makes no difference. And gravy specific to your meat. If you are good at making your own gravy from meat drippings, knock it out. I am not trying to sell you prepackaged goods off the grocery store shelf, but this is for people who, like myself at one time, were barely able to spell chef. If somebody asks you to spell chef and you start out with S-H, you're the guy that I'm trying to teach how to do this. If you're beyond that level, bear with us. You might still learn something. Since I'm using ground beef, I'm using savory beef gravy. It is a 12-ounce jar. I've known some people that when they got done with this said they wanted 2 jars of gravy. Okay. I tend to, once I put my sauce together later on in the recipe, fill this half full of water, rinse it out, put it in the can from the mushroom gravy, rinse it out. That gives me another half a can of water. It works great. Options. Toppings. You don't have to put a topping on your casserole. I like to use French fried onions. I've used French fried jalapenos before. That went over well, believe it or not. You can use split beans. You can use shredded cheese. But 6 or 8 ounces of whichever is going to be enough to top your casserole if you choose to put a topping on it. You've got what you need. You've got what goes in it. Let's get started. Oh, I'm sorry. Because you're going to want to season or to bake your potatoes, you need a bowl with, and I've got some olive oil already in the bottom of the bowl, not much, but you're going to need something to collect the bits of potato and lightly coat them with oil because you want them to brown without burning. And a light coating of oil has more to do with the heat transfer process than it does with protecting your cookware from the food burning down to it. So if you watched Jim's Kitchen how-to number 3, you can skip this part, but real short, I recommend you put the potato down so that it stops rolling, grab it, control it, put the knife down through the center of it long ways, move 1/4 inch to one side, cut, move 1/4 inch to the other side, cut. Now you've got 4 slices of potato. Without breaking them apart to show the camera, just roll it halfway, put the knife back down through the top of it again. Now you've got 8 fingers. Cut that into 1/4 inch long slices, and you have well diced. Well, you can use the term diced. I certainly won't tell you anybody. And two more potatoes are going to be another pound, and that will be all the potatoes I need. The reason I'm bothering to do this on camera, like I said, I'm showing you in one take so that you know, well, number one, what it looks like when you try to do this all the way, start to finish, in your kitchen. You're going to have an idea how long it really takes. And when you read the recipe and you read the choreography, you're going to have seen it done once. Because if you've never seen it done, and you've read a recipe that nobody showed you, it can be a little daunting. You're going to have seen this one. You're going to have watched me do this, and you're going to know it's not that difficult. I'm going to go drop these in the sink, and then we're going to come back and use the spatula. Yes, it's a multi-purpose weapon, and how-to number 3 says put saran wrap over the top of this and shake it up. I did that when I had more potatoes, but I only have 1 pound of potatoes in here. And I'm not worried too much. I'm just going to swizzle these around, roll them around, get them all coated with oil. Move over here to the cookie sheet. Get the potatoes out without taking all of the oil with them. And once I get them on the cookie sheet, I'm going to spread them out in a single layer. And we're going to pop them in the oven at 350. I should have had that oven warming ahead of time. But you're going to get to see me, mistakes and all, and you're going to know that this can work just fine. Thank you. So that's not very many potatoes on that cookie sheet, Jim. You're right. There's 2 pounds already over there in the casserole dish. The next thing you're going to want to do, and I'm going to move the casserole dish to clear a burner, because I'm going to start the meat. Unceremoniously pop the meat into the skillet, put the skillet on the stove, put the skillet at about 1/3, my favorite setting, of the available heat, and break it up. And you will recognize this right out of Jim's Kitchen How-To number 1. And we're going from Jim's Kitchen number 1 straight into Jim's Kitchen number 2, browning the meat. So links will be in the description, but it's all part of the it's all part of my channel, and it's in the Jim's Kitchen watch list. No, I'm sorry. I may have broken the how-tos out into a separate how-to watch list. That's certainly my intention, because once you've seen a how-to once, you don't necessarily need to see it for every single recipe. So I'm gonna, if I haven't done it yet, I will be breaking the how-tos into a separate watch list. Okay, the beef is on the stove. The potatoes, just pretend I put them in the oven. Pretend I was smart enough to preheat the oven. Next, I've worked this all out so that it takes the least amount of time out of your day. I'm doing things in this specific order because I know it compresses the whole process into the minimum of time. And if you're like I was when I first started, I didn't want to spend all day in the kitchen. 1 bag at a time, 5 minutes per bag, Microwave the vegetables. They're designed to be done one bag at a time. Try to put too many in at once. They're just not going to heat correctly. Now, we've got the first bag in. Next step in the process. On the what you need list, I forgot to mention a can opener. I'm sorry. Please don't sue me. I think the can opener, oh no, see that's what I get for missing that on my prep list. I'm thinking it's probably in the dishwasher. No, it's not. All right, so you get to catch me dealing with a problem, an unscheduled problem, an unplanned problem, but that's okay, because watching me deal with it, you will know that you can deal with it. Fortunately, it was just put in a different drawer than I'm used to. No big deal. Open your cream of mushroom soup. Now, when I go around my can, I don't go all the way around the top. I leave the lid attached just barely to the can, because I don't want to fish the lid out of the bowl. That's how cream of mushroom soup comes out of the can. Beef gravy. Now, I told you I like to go get a half a can of water, or half a jar of water. We have a water filtration system installed in our house. We just bought this house, and we bought a water filtration system. Most city water, I wouldn't drink it if you paid me to. Most bottled water is no better. Most bottled water, even if it says filtered, if you look carefully, it says filtered for color and taste. It means you can't see any floating stuff in it. That doesn't mean it's well filtered. You might still have all kinds of stuff in your city water. Get your city's water quality report to find out. I highly recommend investing in a good water filter system. Even if you have an apartment, one of the dangers is, excuse me, the stove just beat. I'm going to put the potatoes in. All right, 20 minutes later, the potatoes will be done. The problem with it, if you have an apartment, is you install something, it belongs to the landlord, according to the real estate laws in most states. And you don't want to invest in a good water treatment system that you're going to essentially just be giving away to the people you rent the apartment or house from. There are good above-the-counter water treatment systems, and I recommend that's what you get. So do that and get your water treatment handled, because you don't want the stuff that is in 90% of city water systems, 95% of city water systems today. Yeah, you got to see that whole ungraceful thing. Honest, real, no kidding, Jim rinsing out the can. It's okay. What I did just now was put the components for my, we're going to just call it the gravy component, together. First bag of veggies is done. Take it out. Start the next bag. We're just going to mix this up so that it's ready, because when the last bag of veggies comes out, we're going to put this in, because you want it warm, you want it mixed, and the warmer it is when you get done before you pour it on the casserole, the better it will go down through the meat, the veggies, and the diced potatoes, the better casserole you'll have. So again, we're doing this all on camera in the order I would do it, really, because I want you to see that it really does all fit in the allotted time. Remember I said in a previous video, no, it's a video, I tried to shoot a breakfast video, and let's just say the attempt was abortive and leave it at that. But I started that so I can tell you this. I tend to prefer a fork for whisking. The fluid streams between the tines better. You just get a better job of whisking, and it goes faster. So you'll notice I'm turning the bowl with one hand as I mix the, I'm going to call it gravy mix, with the other. Mix it until it's smooth. It might seem a little thick because it's based on cream of mushroom gravy, or I'm sorry, cream of mushroom soup. After you microwave it, it's going to be nice and warm, and it'll pour very well, thank you. All right. There. Our gravy mix is mixed. Second bag of veggies is on we're at 2.5 minutes, so it's half done. And you get to take a breather for just a moment. No, you don't. You get to go and check on your meat, which has been on the stove for a little while and really wants to be turned. See Jim's Kitchen how-to number 2, browning meat. Link in the description. The meat has started to cook itself back together and bond after you broke it up initially. Take advantage of that. Turn it in, in patties or whatever, in bits. Once you get it all turned, break it up again. There's nothing that says you can't or shouldn't take advantage of the situation when the process has made it easy for you. Because if you break it up first and then try to turn it over, it's going to be, well, try it that way and you'll see. It's just not as easy to turn all the meat so that it all browns consistently. So we're going to break this up. Let it go back. I believe I've mentioned this before, but I like having saucers out to put my cooking utensils on. This just makes cleanup easier. We've got everything well and truly in progress. So if you need to take a moment, you should do that now. I'm going to continue because I want you to see it all in real time. I am going to put my can opener in the sink while we do this, because we're done with the can opener. Second bag of veggies is done. So you don't have lots of time to goof around, but if you're paying attention, you now know 2 bags of veggies are done, the meat is on, the potatoes are in, the gravy mix is mixed. Yeah, we're getting close. So what's going to happen is the potatoes are going to come out in a little while. Ideally, you had the oven hot, so you put them in before the first bag of potatoes went in. So counting the time it takes you to change bags out, etc., 3 bags of veggies takes about 15 minutes. You put the potatoes in first, then you started the meat, then you did the veggies. So you're going to be very close to 20 minutes by the time the last bag of veggies comes out. That's when you take the potatoes out. You don't necessarily need to drop a timer on it. Take the potatoes out, put them in the casserole, spread them out evenly, and then start putting the microwave veggies on top. Say, Jim, your veggies are sitting there cooling. So in fact, you've got potatoes sitting over there cooling. Yeah. When we get the casserole assembled, it's going to go back in the oven at 350 degrees for 20 or 30 minutes. It's all going to be hot. It'll all be good. We're just prepping things so that you're not sitting there with a casserole that isn't cooked in the oven for an hour and you hope everything cooks through without burning everything. I'm not a fan of that. That's unnecessarily dicey. So we're going to go back and check the meat because that's starting to look pretty good. We're going to turn it again. Like I said, we're taking good advantage of the time here. There's not a lot of wasted time. I've got everything going together. We're juggling several tasks at once because I'm trying not to have this take all day. If you're like me and you're a bachelor cook, bachelor chef, you don't want to be in the kitchen all day. You want to you want to be a bachelor. If cooking is something you enjoy, and you might once you find out it's easy like this, because I actually kind of like it. It's kind of therapeutic. Gives me something to do, something to spend energy on. It's a way to calm down, believe it or not, once you get used to it. When I first started out, yes, the kitchen was a stressful place, but it doesn't have to be. I'm stalling for a minute because I know that last bag of veggies isn't going to be too terribly long before it comes out. And once that's done, I'm going to look at the potatoes. I'm going to do the fork test. See preparing potatoes, Jim's Kitchen how-to number 3. Link in the description. I'm going to check the potatoes and see if they're done. There's only a pound of potatoes on that tray. They might be done in time to save me from wasting your video time. Let's see here. Yeah, we got another minute left on the microwave. I want to take a moment on a different subject to talk about your storage containers. I have here a Glad, Tupperware, a different brand I don't recognize, another Glad. You get the idea. Here's a Rubbermaid, I think. There's Is this the Rubbermaid? But these two containers are by different manufacturers and they're very near the same size. These two containers are by different manufacturers. They're very nearly the same size. You grab a container and then you get to go through your bin full of lids and you say, oh, that looks like the right size lid, and you find out it's for the wrong brand. Don't put yourself through that. I'm speaking from experience, I'm not guessing, and I didn't go through and clean everything up so that I could show you a pristine kitchen. I wanted to show you the truth. And the truth is, I recommend you pick one brand, and I'm not going to tell you which is the best because I don't know. Glad, Tupperware, Rubbermaid, there may be other brands out there. Pick one that has an assortment of container sizes you like and use that, because when you find container size X, all the lids are going to be from the same manufacturer, and you don't have to go through to find the right lid to fit this particular 1-quart container, for instance. Just thought I'd call that a freebie. Now, all 3 bags of veggies are done. I promised you we were going to check the potatoes. Notice I'm leaving the oven on in case the potatoes aren't done. 1 fork. Oh, that's a nicely done potato, I can already tell you. We're going to wave it around a little bit. I actually have a fan going over here I'm going to hold it up in front of, because I don't want to burn my mouth. To taste it, see if it's cooked through. I already know it is because I just stabbed it. Yep. Now we're going to put the last 1 pound of potatoes in the casserole dish. We're going to spread them out, and then we're going to start assembling the casserole. And it'll soon become evident that choreographing all of this so that you're doing several things at once. Number 1 is not all that complicated. Number 2 saves you time. So, casserole dish, potatoes are in it. 1 nice even layer. Take a little time. It's all right. Kitchen shears or a knife, either one. Cut them open. Dump them in. All 3 bags. Spread them around. I hate it when your nose itches in the middle of a recipe. And I just went to my nose with my left hand, so you'll notice I'm keeping my left hand out of the way. And I'm going to go make a quick trip to the sink, because I am not going to be a slob. And again, you get to watch me deal with things as they happen in real time. Paper towels, keep them handy. You can never have too many paper towels in the kitchen. Your meat's brown by now. I'm going to recommend either a slotted spoon or a slotted spatula because you want to leave the meat grease behind. You do not want to transfer it to your casserole. Make sure that your meat is broken up and then sprinkle it on top of your casserole. Yep, I've actually stopped talking. Mark your calendars. That's not going to happen very often. Notice I'm holding the pan at an angle. And when I break down to rake the meat out of the pan directly, I'm raking it over the high side so that the grease that remains stays on the low side in the pan instead of going into the casserole. Spread out your meat. Now, put the gravy mix in the microwave for a good couple of minutes to get it nice and hot. It would have already been room temperature because if you remember that came out of a can and a jar. So it wasn't refrigerated or anything. It won't take long to get that nice and hot. We're going to spread it over the casserole. We're going to use the same spatula to make sure we get a good even spread. For this casserole, I am going to use French fried onions as a topping. Now, here's a little trick that I kind of like. I'm going to use a smaller bowl. And I'm going to break them up a little bit using the same spatula. Break them up. You're not trying to reduce them to powder, just break them up a little bit so that they spread out more easily on the top of your casserole. What's the chair about, Jim? Why don't you just move that out of the kitchen? You will hear me from time to time make some noises that sound like exertion noises. And you'll think that what I'm doing in the kitchen is not all that physically strenuous. Right and right. In my case, it's not so much exertion noises, it's pain noises. I did something really brilliant, not in a previous career as a construction worker. Took the express trip off the 9th floor of a building and hit, short version, it still hurts. So if you hear me making noises of exertion, they're pain noises. I'm washing my hands again because I just went to my face. And we already talked about that. I'm not going to be a slob. So washing my hands again. Paper towels again. Then we're going to finish assembling the casserole. The more astute among you will notice a couple of things. One, how-to video number 3 said to bake your potatoes at 425 degrees. Jim, you did it at 350. Yeah, you're right. That's a mistake. The second thing you will have noticed is that I left the oven on after the potatoes came out for a reason. Now, I'm not worried about the first mistake, which was a mistake, because like I said, this whole thing is going back in for another 15 or 20 minutes. If you've got a slow oven, make it 30. So the potatoes, the meat, anything that didn't get cooked through, it's going to cook. I already did the al dente test on the potatoes. I know they're good. So if you make a mistake, it is not the end of the world, just because maybe you forgot and baked your potatoes at 350 rather than 4 1/4, because you're watching me get away with that mistake right now. If you're trying to do flavored potato wedges or something as a treat, that process is not going to be quite so forgiving. It's more important that you get the temperature right, cook the potatoes on a high temperature. But in this application, it's not as big a deal. Spread the gravy out so that it covers everything. This is going to take a little while. Because once you do it, you'll understand that the meat and the veggies and so on want to stick to the spatula because the gravy is holding them. And yeah, you'll learn how to make the spreading process work. And eventually, you will be able to spread things out so that you get a nice, even covering. And you'll see space down deeper in the pan where the gravy hasn't run down to yet. That's the real primary reason why I do this in 2 stages. When I get this assembled and put it back in the oven to bake, it's to let this get hot and run down in between all of the components of the bake. So now you've seen me have to go to the sink 3 times to rewash my hands because I dropped something on the floor or whatever. It's all manageable. None of this is a big deal. There's nothing here to stress about. I use my spatula, rake the onions out. Same for shredded cheese or any other topping I might use, green beans, string beans, you name it. In the oven it goes. The oven was already hot. And we're going to come back and you'll learn with your oven how long it takes. In my oven, I happen to know it's about 20 minutes. But if you start with 20 and it's not long enough, you're not going to do any harm. Leave it longer. What you want to check for when you take it out of the oven is, did the gravy get all the way down through to the bottom of the casserole? 20 minutes is plenty of additional cook time. The only concern is, has your casserole formed? Has the gravy gotten down to the bottom? Other than that, this is a worry-free recipe, and we're basically done. After 20 minutes, assuming the gravy has gotten all the way to the bottom of the pan. And it's a simple thing. You're going to take a couple of hot pads, you're going to pull it out of the stove, you're going to lift it, and you're going to look at the bottom. And if the gravy got all the way down, you're done. Otherwise, give it 10 more minutes. After that, I wouldn't worry about it. You're going to take it out, set it on top of the stove, because you can burn inexpensive countertops. Put the casserole pan on your stove top and let it sit for at least 5 minutes before you try to serve it. And we're done here, folks. That is the end of Jim's Kitchen, Episode 3, Casserole. We'll see you next video. Bye-bye.